Hey, what's up guys? This is Josh and this is Catholic Cop. Okay, as promised, this is part 2 of the 3-part series. The first part we covered was the proof of God as per Thomas Aquinas. In this second part, we're going to cover the proof that Jesus was a living, breathing human being, flesh and blood, God incarnate.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
So as promised, we are not going to provide any proof of Jesus inside the Bible. All the proof is going to be outside of the Bible. And that's for all the people that are going to say, well, the Bible is biased, the Bible is corrupted, it was assembled well after the fact. Okay, cool. I'm going to appease to you. All the proof for the historicity of Jesus is going to be found outside of the Bible. Writers outside of the Bible. So let's dive into it. So just like every good investigation, first thing we're going to do is collect witness statements, right? The first thing we're going to do is collect witness statements from people that were there, or people that heard about what happened, or hearsay, people that heard about what happened. You know, good example of that is you all never met Abraham Lincoln, but guess what? I bet you probably heard about him. You probably heard about Abraham Lincoln, right? Well, the same's true for these guys. I got 5 witness statements from people that lived around the time of Jesus, within the first 100 years of Christianity. Some of them lived right there immediately after, like within the first 20 years of Jesus' death. So he's probably alive. Well, he was alive at the time that Jesus was killed. So we have really good, credible witness statements from these guys that either was alive at the time of Jesus or immediately after the time of Jesus. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first guy we're going to bring up, his name is Thallus. And Thallus was a Greek historian. And Thallus was around the time around 52 AD. So we're talking just 20 years, less than 20 years after Jesus' crucifixion. This is an extremely credible guy. Now, some of these writings that these guys wrote are pretty lengthy, so I'm not going to sit there and bore you with all them. I'm going to put them up on the screen so you can read them, so you know I'm not making this up. But what I'm just going to do is hit all the high points. So here's what Thallus had to say. So this is the point that Thallus was making in his writing. He's confirming what is found already in the Gospel of Matthew. Matthew 27:50-54, Matthew's talking about immediately after the crucifixion of Jesus, there was an earthquake. It shook the earth and it ripped a bunch of rocks in half. So that's what Thallus is talking about in his writing. Take a look. Okay, so the next guy we're going to talk about, he wrote about Jesus around the time of 70 AD. His name is Mara bar Serapion. Now, Mara bar Serapion was a Syrian historian, and he's confirming that the Jews executed what he describes as their wise king, and this wise king lived on in his teachings that he gave to his followers. Okay, so the third witness statement we're going to go through is a guy named Josephus. Now, Josephus was a Jewish historian right around the time of 93 AD. And Josephus, he had a lot to say about Jesus. He was actually, it seems like a fan after reading his writings. He's saying that Jesus was a doer of wonderful things, of wonderful works. He had a following of both Jews and Gentiles, which is confirmed in the Bible. That he was crucified by Pontius Pilate, and that he appeared to his apostles after his death. The fourth witness statement we're going to go through is Lucian of Samosata. Now, Lucian was a Greek writer, and he wrote this around 115 AD. So this is what he had to say about Jesus. Now, Lucian, from all historical accounts, was not a fan of Jesus. But he is writing about him nonetheless, just to prove that he is a living, breathing person. But what he had to say was that the early Christians worshipped a man that was crucified. That's basically what he's saying in this particular writing. Now, finally, number 5. This is my favorite witness statement of all of them so far. Josephus is really cool, but you can tell he's a fan. So this next guy, he's not a fan. He's actually a Roman senator and historian. That's why I think he's really cool, because he brings a lot of clout given his position in society. His name is Cornelius Tacitus. Now, Cornelius, like I said, he's a Roman historian and a senator. So what he says is credible. He's a man of distinguished, a man who's distinguished in the community, and he's not giving anything earth-shattering, but he's giving good historical facts. He's saying that Emperor Nero tortured early Christians. He's saying that this guy Christus was crucified by Pontius Pilate, and that there was a superstition that Jesus rose from the dead. Okay, so you might be asking yourself, okay, that's all well and good. Witness statements are kind of cool. You know, it proves a lot, I guess. But what about physical evidence? Now, physical evidence trumps all stuff, right? That's kind of the biggest piece of evidence you can have, right? Do you have any physical evidence? Yes, I'm glad you asked. So the first bit of physical evidence I want to give you is the Shroud of Turin. So the Shroud of Turin is really, really cool. I've done a lot of study on the Shroud. A lot of Christians that are interested in their faith have done a lot of study on the Shroud. It's so cool. So the Shroud is suspected to be the actual physical burial cloth of Jesus himself. Can you imagine the actual physical burial cloth? Now, what you'll notice in looking at the picture of it is you can see everything. You can see the markings where the crown of thorns were. You can see the scourge marks where he was scourged at the pillar. You can see the holes in his hands where he was crucified. You can see his face. Do a Google image of the Shroud of Turin face, and you can see the actual face of Jesus. Incredible. And finally, the last bit of evidence I want to give you is the ancient text. So Christianity has a whole bunch, a crap ton of evidence captured in ancient text. There's over 24,633 ancient text of the New Testament alone. Of that, 5,300 of those are just Greek manuscripts by themselves. 5,300 just Greek. Just as a point of comparison, the philosopher Plato, whom no one ever disputes was a living, breathing person, had 7 pieces of manuscript. Over 24,000 Christian documents.
Series 4, deatomizer.
That's what I'm talking about.
To 7 Plato documents.
Noisy cricket.
All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. That is 5 witness statements and 2 pieces of physical evidence to prove that Jesus was a living, breathing, human Flesh and blood, God incarnate. Stick around for part 3. I'm going to have that coming out shortly, and that's going to be the big one. That's going to be the proof of the resurrection and Jesus' divinity. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share. This is Catholic Cop.